Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. We have another 3-film week here for you folks. So we've got Stormy Weather from 1943, directed by Andrew Stone. We have David Lynch's film, Lost Highway from 97. And finally, now in theaters, newly released, the romantic, thriller, comedy, action film Love Hurts, directed by Jonathan Eusebio. So let's hear what Vincent Daly has to say about it, folks. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Mr. Vincent Daly, how we doing over there?
Tommy boy, how's it going?
It's going okay on this side of the table. How was your 3 films this week?
3 films are mostly good. Mostly except for our new release, which we saw together. An unsuccessful Sunday morning watch. We usually get some nice food afterwards, but everything was closed because of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we got screwed big time on the food.
I'm actually surprised how many people were in the theater given the Super Bowl. So, yes,
I was surprised after looking at how bad the box office was. I was surprised that we weren't alone.
Yeah, for real.
I think we were half of the money so far that the film has made.
Yeah.
But we did see it. I mean, the hopes weren't super high on it, so we saw it though.
It was surprising in the sense that, like, I thought it was just going to be like really whatever, but it was actually kind of bad. So I mean that
it was
itself,
frustrating.
Yeah, that itself was a different direction on it. I'll tell you what, I was really, really happy to check out Stormy Weather because I chose this going off of one little dance sequence that I was just hunting down, and I had no idea if the movie was going to be good around it. So I was just excited to see that there was a halfway decent movie surrounding what I was hunting down.
So that settles it then, because I had no idea why you picked the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I know you're going to kind of explore a little bit, but it's like, why this one? It does have some good critic praise to it.
And an interesting production story, too.
I figured there's going to be a story that comes with it.
Yeah. It's definitely a little bit of an anomaly, especially for 43.
It's an older film.
Yeah.
And then we're doing Lost Highway, David Lynch. We're keeping that going. How long is our David Lynch study? Do you have
one more movie. Technically, it could be two
okay.
more. It's already been shortened, one, because I couldn't find Wild at Heart. That, folks, last week, I announced that we were going to do Wild at Heart, but could not find it. It's in license hell.
Such a shame for David Lynch, too.
Yeah. I can't even guess why it wouldn't be licensed. You'd think with a Nick Cage movie.
Do you know what the studio was behind it?
This one and Lost Highway, I don't know if they're like primary producers on this, but there is a weird studio that I haven't recognized before, so maybe that's why it's
probably
up in
litigation
the air.
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Who gets the rights or what can be shown.
Yeah. Also, Lost Highway and Wild at Heart are the only two that Lynch co-writes, so maybe there's something going on there, but could not find it for the life of me. So I was like, all right, I'm not buying this movie. I'm not rolling the dice on just buying a physical copy in time. So we're moving ahead. And honestly, all the director slots or these kind of director studies, I usually only do 4 movies for. So
Is that right? Do you typically only do 4?
Yeah, because I usually try to keep it with either within the month or...
That's true. Yeah.
Or, I mean, in the past when we've done this, it's been chosen by, like, a director going on an incredible tear for, like, over a short period of time. This is much more drawn out. I think we're hopefully going to end it on a high with Mulholland Drive. I hear that is his best film. So,
and is that in the 2000s?
Yeah, that's 2001.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah.
He does one after that called Inland Empire, which I hear everything from it's a masterpiece to it's his worst. So
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
So we'll get that in a year from now. We'll get that next time.
Yeah. We'll Apparently he has a real hard-on for digital cameras at the time, and would just love shoving digital cameras into his actors' faces. And it's just like, I don't know if I need to really,
especially back then. What was it? Early 2000s.
I think it's 2003 or 4.
That's not good. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, with that, let's jump back to 1943 for this film called Stormy Weather. I say just get into it. If you want to talk production first or anything, just kind of get into it and tell us what this is about, Stormy Weather.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, and like you started with, Tom, I wanted to cover a wide array of talents this month, and this movie has one dance scene that I've just been hunting down for years. The performers I knew going into this was the fantastic Cab Calloway and the Nicholas brothers. The track Jumping Jive was something I've seen online and hooked me as the sole reason I wanted to cover this
That's
film.
these guys.
Yes.
Jumping Jive. Really?
Yes.
That the Cab brothers?
Yes. Yeah, the one where they're doing the splits over each other. Like, it's crazy. But also, I was excited to see that Bill Bojangles Robinson was in the cast for this, in which we touched on in our Fred Astaire special as kind of an instrumental figure of early dance in film. The fact that this story has so much praise for him as well really just makes it a perfect inclusion for the type of movies I'm trying to discover in this segment. Bill Robinson, in my research for more stuff, it's been tough to track down movies outside of Shirley Temple movies that he's in, where he is the main star. This is one of those, thankfully. But I don't know if we're going to get much more movies from him in this segment because he's really always the second man. And he's just in a lot of those Shirley Temple movies, which I have kind of pretty much no interest in.
I don't think I certainly don't have any interest.
Yeah, exactly. So, Stormy Weather is a musical romance comedy, like so many movies we've covered, but stands out as one of 2 films in 1943 made with an all-black cast, the second being Cabin in the Sky from the very same year. While both films star the lovely Lena Horne, Stormy Weather gets its story loosely from adapting Bill Robinson's real life, where he basically just kind of plays himself. We kick things off with Bill coming back from World War I and progressing through in his earlier career, where he kind of recalls these moments for his grandchildren in flashbacks. Through New York, New Orleans, Chicago, and Hollywood, Bill's career as a tap dancer takes him everywhere, eventually catching up with modern day. And all along the way, we see many real talents that he collaborated with, given their own kind of spotlight on the silver screen. There is only one performer Bill really cares for, though, and that is his partner, played by Lena Horne, who must decide between which love is stronger, the limelight of the stage or step back alongside Bill to create a family. I would say, while a project like this might get the most attention for its casting gimmick, both back then and even now, which goes to show you how much people change, the goal of adapting Robinson's life kind of naturally puts him in the music scene that this makes sense for. Especially in his time in New York, the kind of evolving Harlem music scene, this makes sense to have an all-black cast for that reason, and is not. I would argue is just not just another gimmick. It's true to his kind of career journey. If anything, these performers haven't had a chance to make it on the big screen yet, and for that reason, this is downright packed with just incredible, incredible talent. All 3 songs with Fats Waller are amazing. He has this kind of like wiggling eyebrow thing while he plays he wiggles the eyebrow with every strike of the key on the piano, and it really is great. Singers Mae Johnson and Alda Brown have incredible singing performances, and honestly keep up with the bigger numbers of Lena Horne that she is given. Also, Lena Horne is someone that we know from, once again, kind of a few months back to that Wizard of Oz episode.
In the 70s, that musical one called The Wiz. Well, I guess it's a musical, but yeah.
Yeah. She plays Glinda the Good in The Wiz, and interesting. I had to do a lot of research into her, but she really is...
Is she a dancer, too, or is she mostly just
mostly singing?
Vocals?
Yeah. I think, if anything, Bill Robinson's a good partner because he doesn't flash it up too much.
Right.
it's the simple, it's the one leg out, one leg back.
Like the Bing Crosby effect, kind of. Yeah.
yeah.
He's got swagger.
Absolutely.
Bill Robinson. Yeah, this is like a who's who of just like talent in this film, it seems like.
Yeah.
Stacked.
Huge.
Yeah.
Above all else, though, I love Cab Calloway. As a fellow man that can't control the volume of his voice sometimes, he is an icon. He's so cool. His tracks, Geechee Joe and Jumpin' Jive, are, I would say, essential for any fan of swing, and how they kind of filmed his performance captures the almost evil vibe to his stage persona, these shadows that are projected behind him, like kind of reaching to the ceiling. Just really awesome. I really just love how his persona was able to be kind of captured on screen and do some interesting things with the filming of it. Let's talk about the dances, though. And I'll start with Robinson. Robinson's style, might not look the flashiest. It really isn't the flashiest, but he sells you on every step because of how much fun he's having, how much sheer fun he's having. Like I said, I love his little step move. It's just real simple. It reminds us... It reminds me of our one friend Taylor. Just like sometimes when he's drunk, he just got to do a little step.
Oh wow,
a little step
right.
out.
I haven't seen that step in a while.
The track Digga Digga Doo leads into a great sequence where he's dancing over drums in an orchestra, and was probably the standout for him specifically. I would say musical-wise, the title track Stormy Weather has some wonderful singing from Lena Horne, but really wowed me for how much it evolved. Honestly, though, folks, I said it already. I hate to take the spotlight away from you, Bill, but you're kind of upstaged in your own biopic by some dancing talent here. The dance sequence after Jumping Jive is not only the strongest dance scene in the whole film, it seriously might be one of the single greatest of all time, and I really do mean that. It's seriously one of... the most, it's a top 3 for sure. It may be number 1.
I'll tell you what's crazy about it.
Such a strong dance.
I mean, if for everyone listening who's probably not aware of this film, this is like a heavily used clip.
Yeah,
and a heavily used dancing sequence.
Yeah,
for memes, for it's so internet heavy.
It's so good.
It grew a second life completely.
Yeah, like I was praising before. Once again, like the shadows are used, how they're used in the performance. It's just so classic. And so big band and so Art Deco. I mean, I just love it so much. The Nicholas brothers are why this is one of the best. I love how they spring out from the crowd at the start of the dance. And the first part of this dance is just basically a crazy rendition of that drum dance scene Robinson did earlier. Which is kind of like further salt in the wound of just like, wow, they're even doing his routine. It's just like, okay. And my God, these boys are just killing their knees. There's a section towards the end where they are doing flying splits over one another down a giant staircase. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess
it's almost comical.
Yeah,
it's so impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things where it's just like so old fashioned that I'm just like, they probably hurt themselves for the art. Like this is like, I don't know if the Super Bowl was on my mind, but I was thinking of like early injuries in sports. Like they just didn't know what they were doing to their bodies. I've talked about it many times before, but why this is top for me is the musicality of tap dancing itself. It's what makes it so impressive. And the way the Nicholas brothers are able to almost have a dialogue with the instruments of the song, it's incredible. If you do anything, folks, please do yourself a favor and watch this scene. Jump and jive into the Nicholas brothers. You can definitely find it on YouTube. You can find it online. Really, just a standout. So good. So good. I watched it 3 times over on this.
Okay.
Amazing.
I'm glad it held up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Folks, like I said, I'm honestly just real happy there was a half-decent movie attached to one of my favorite dance sequences of all time. I didn't know what I was expecting. This was just after, this would be like if I was after like a horror movie for one scene I saw. And I was just like, all right, who knows if it's going to be good or not. But to my surprise, it really was a great movie on its own. Bill Robinson is a star of Hollywood's past that deserves to be remembered. And because of that, earns this kind of mixed biopic structure. It's a musical comedy that we've always covered in this segment on the show. There's something there that it is a biopic before that was really a major thing. I mean, I'm trying to think like 1943. I mean, I'm sure there are ones out there, but not ones that we really know or anything. But more than anything, This gets a recommendation for the countless performers that give their all in this. And like I said already, might shine even brighter for the brief time that they have on screen. We're going to go ahead and give Stormy Weather 1943 a 76.
76% for a very old film.
A very old film. Very worth it, though.
Wow.
Very worth it.
Well, this is nice. I'm really glad that it panned out for you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Rolling
just
the dice on
one
this.
little nugget in a terrible film. Wow, okay.
Right. Because I really would be in a tough position on where to grade this, because if this was just like sprinkled in, whatever,
Right.
into another thing, I don't know. I would be very conflicted for how much of a quality dance sequence this is. I mean, this is absolutely some of the best, some of the absolute best.
Anything other attached with anyone involved? Like, the director, Andrew Stone, like, does he go on to do a major film or anything like that? Like, do we know?
No, not that I know of.
Spawned from this.
The only thing that was interesting is that, again, I like I said, in 1943, 2 projects were made like this: Stormy Weather, and then Cabin Up in the Sky. What is it called?
And she was in it.
She was in
Lena
both.
Horne.
They're
Right.
also both all black cast. So I was like, all right, well, if it was made by like the same studio, they were just trying to do a kind of a double feature of sorts. Cabin Up in the Sky, or whatever it's called, is done by MGM, a completely different studio.
Oh yeah,
for
and this one's done by 20th Century.
So I don't know if that was Lena Horne leading it. In her life, to my research, she did a lot of activism. So maybe that was something that she was pushing for, but that's about all I did as far as research into this. With these old films, we've commented on in the past, it's hard to catch a director and be like, that's a mark of quality, moving on, because they're just so in the studio system. They're so like...
It's a lot of productions.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
They're given their marching orders almost by the studio.
Oh, that's true, and just the way the contracts were made back then. But so Lena Horne is not the main cast in the other film. She's like,
really?
Cabin in the Sky, she's supporting.
Okay, interesting.
She's not the lead female. But anyway, Stormy Weather, 76%. Check it out, even if you're not into maybe this film as a whole. You said, go on YouTube, check out the dance numbers.
Absolutely.
Big old tonal shift now. David Lynch.
Oh, and insane. About as much of a tonal switch that this movie has within it.
It's rated R, shocker. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes, and it sounds crazy. And Lynch has this. I'm not surprised. The leading actors here, we have Bill Pullman, Patricia Arquette, are lead actors and actress. Something about the people he picks are like my B tier people that I would never really want in my movie.
Okay,
I don't know. There's something that he's picking these people. But I'm excited to hear how this all goes out. It sounds very Lynchy.
It sounds insane.
Lost Highway. But the thing is,
did you look up spoilers on this?
I did a little bit.
Okay.
His premises are awesome, and they seem lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And I looked at his premise, and I look at his kind of a basic plot summary, and this is gold. I was like,
sure.
What,
sometimes maybe even better than the film.
I love the mind that created this. This is great.
Yeah.
But then the film comes out, and it's like an execution.
It's wild.
He's a wild man.
Yeah.
Lost Highway. Get into it, and we'll see how you liked it.
Yeah, well, like I said, the Lynch spot this week was designed to be wild at heart from 1990, but it is nowhere to be found. Unlicensed, and, while I actually did run into this with The Elephant Man, I was able to find that illegally. Unfortunately for Nick Cage, that was not the case here. So.
Even like a really well-known movie, The Elephant Man, it was difficult to find.
Yeah, I found that through Internet Archive. It's not great because it's not a primarily like streaming site, but I find that sometimes I'm able to find something there on Internet Archive, not really a site I use otherwise, specifically when Amazon doesn't have it. And if Amazon doesn't have it, that usually is a sign of just like, oh, this is in some sort of licensing hell. What surprised me, though, is just like, I don't know, like Lynch's films are picked up by Janus Films, which is kind of like a Turner Classic, Criterion type of thing. Not sure. We'll see. I was excited for Nick Cage, really, even more so.
Well, that's the big one. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that we're not getting this Nick Cage film.
Absolutely, but
what was it called again?
Wild at Heart.
Okay.
Yeah. The gap in years between Lynch's movies is much larger for Lost Highway, even if we didn't get to Wild at Heart. And primarily, this covers the TV run of Twin Peaks, as well as the series conclusion in the movie Fire Walk with Me in 1992. Lost Highway coming out in 1997, and our next Mulholland Drive coming out in 2001 will pretty much wrap up what I had interests in from Lynch, but it should be noted that in between all of these are a huge amount of short films, commercials, music videos, and other projects that all have kind of shades of his surreal style.
It's crazy. Even in the 2000s,
oh, yeah.
The dude has 110 directing credits.
Absolutely. And it's at that point, I mean, it almost becomes the primary, his primary job or his primary product. But yeah, there's something there that, I don't know, I don't have a way to meaningfully talk about all that type of stuff, so I think after Mulholland Drive, we're going to be done with Lynch. My awareness of Lost Highway started with stumbling on its original advertisement online. At the time, film critic Roger Ebert gave this a 2 thumbs down, and with some quick thinking, they put that right on the poster saying 2 more reasons to go see it. Just really, really sharp stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I love that. No, it was honestly
I wonder
awesome.
if they had a few. This kind of, to me, seems like this is Rogers.
Yeah.
He's such a weird, pervy guy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. I think later on they kind of mend things. I know on the red carpet for Mulholland Drive there is an interaction that they have, and nice words.
In a nice one. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but slick marketing aside, after watching the movie, I honestly can't make my mind up about it either. I mean, this had 3 scores stand out to me, like 40, 50, 35, points apart.
Right,
like, this is like a very hard movie to pin down. Lost Highway is a transforming story of paranoia, fear, and disassociation. And it's also a little bit beyond genre, at least for the first half of the film. If I had to boil it down to something, I would say psychological thriller, but it really it does what it wants. Bill Paulson plays a paranoid husband who, in between his music gigs, lives in a dreamlike fog. His life seems to be a prison of sorts for him, possibly being punishment for something he did or something he has yet to do. He begins to be harassed with videotapes showing the inside of his own home and is visited by a stranger called the Mystery Man with a seemingly cosmic indifference. For my video game fans out there, Mystery Man's kind of like G-Man from Half-Life. Like, he's just like, oh, he just shows up and okay, I guess we're flipping on the crazy. This creates a disturbing level of paranoia that begins to shift reality around him, making the events of the story warped by his own perspective. And right at the halfway mark, that warp reaches its climax and alters the story drastically, so much so that this felt like 2 movies in one after that halfway mark. It's a journey of madness at the hands of an unreliable narrator, himself saying he prefers things how I remembered them, not how things happened. Quick side note here. I had no way of naturally putting this in the review, but every music venue Lynch creates in the movies is just the craziest shit ever. It's just
It's not surprising.
Like Blue Velvet, you have this like Texan Roadhouse. Like, it looks like line dancing, clear out the tables for some line dancing. But it's got like this jazzy crooner music. Here, Paulson, he's a saxophonist, but he plays in this like experimental jazz band. The venues that he plays in looks like a 9 Inch Nails 90s metal venue. Like, Marilyn Manson is all over the soundtrack. It looks like a Marilyn Manson venue. Like, either Dave has been to no clubs at all, or he's been to exclusively clubs that are cooler than the ones I've been to. So I'm really torn on this. Like, seriously, he's either at like an entirely different level or this is his approximation.
No, but the thing is, and you know how much Carey put into it. 'Cause he loves his style and look.
Yeah,
like, he's a very particular guy.
Absolutely. But just something. It is zany. I have no idea. I want to know the clubs that he's been to, that he's pulling these inspirations from. Folks, though, it's got to be said, the training wheels are off here. I mean, even I was struggling a fair bit with this. On the spectrum of surreal, this is completely on the intense side and dips into horror frequently just because of how strange things get. I mean, there's really an unsettling quality to it that...
That's not surprising.
With the film in hindsight, I don't think it's trying to be a horror movie, but naturally, I kind of really was like a little unsettled by everything on screen.
I think Lynch... I think unsettled is Lynch to an extent. That is that is a subgenre of him.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't say creepy necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily say straight horror, but uneasiness.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
And that's his MO. Look at Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, because and there's a style of like kind of let's slip you in and then let's flip on the crazy.
Yeah.
You know? Smack you across the face. I'll kind of explain this with, I don't know, spice levels. You got like Dune and Elephant Man, mild to nothing. You know, maybe you get a dream sequence in there. Blue Velvet, that's your medium. That's got a little kick. Okay. Eraserhead Lost Highway, that's full sweat. And they need warning labels on this. Like this
it's the 4 chilies on the menu when I go to a Thai place, so I know.
Exactly. This is like no fuck around shit. While there are many disturbing moments in the film, I personally find simple human interaction what makes it so unsettling, especially in the first half, where every conversation leaves you feeling like the world itself is just like impossibly hostile and double the amount of questions you had going into any scene. Like for the first 40 minutes, it's kind of like it's nonstop. Like it's just like, what is this? Oh my God, what is this? Like it is nonstop. I think some of my issue with it though comes from how illogical characters are reacting to the shit that's put in front of them. You know, I have no problem with the scene being vague or trippy or surreal. You know, frankly, that's where the magic is. But it feels like Lynch's actors are sometimes as clueless as the audience, and I don't think that results in a good performance. I feel like in responding to the scene that they're being put in, there is a disconnect that goes beyond like a mystery type of styling or even a thriller, that they don't have all the pieces together. It feels like there's something more foundational there that like the actors don't have the pieces either. The best thing I can compare this to is like the early, like a version of the early disconnect we saw with like CGI performances, but instead with like the narrative elements. I feel like the narrative elements are, I don't know, probably not explained because David Lynch won't explain them in like interview settings and like post-release. So I don't know how much insight the actors have either.
I've seen him on set working, and it seems like he's willing to work with actors. I think actors like working with him.
Right.
Like I do think
he's very popular. He's a ladies' man too.
He directs.
He's got unusual charisma. I mean,
he's a different guy.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I was watching a clip of him dealing with Tom Sizemore in the latest, in the newest version of Twin Peaks.
Right.
And he's great. He's like so into it, and he's working with the actor, and he's like telling him to do stuff, and it's the camera's rolling, and he's so into it. I don't know. Maybe it's Bill. Is Bill Pullman the guy you really want at the end of the day? You know.
Well, I don't know.
How much vision can you get onto Bill Pullman?
He's playing a very pivotal role to this story.
I mean, this is peak Pullman here.
Yeah, I guess
this
so.
is 97. When does
when does Independence Day come out?
I think it's 97.
Yeah, it might be. Definitely late 90s.
96.
96. Okay, so I mean,
he's on a tear.
He's hot property at this point. This is a very artistic decision, if anything.
We're peak Pullman.
Yeah.
But basically what you're saying is there's a lot of confusion, and it's felt.
Yes, and I feel like it's felt in a way that there's a disconnect with acting as well.
Yeah.
Like it's so strange. It feels like some of these performances, Bill even, is just kind of like, I don't even think these people know what's going on.
Because
and I feel like that's the first time it's dipped really into a negative for me.
Yeah, because what they're doing, you would be like, they would not be acting this way.
Yes.
They would not be doing this right now.
Or in the context, like, I don't know. I guess what I want is just a tiny, the smallest sliver of logic when it comes to these characters, especially if it is going to be a mystery about details and kind of piecing things together. But that's really the first time since tackling these movies that I've had, well, maybe even going back to Eraserhead, but the first time in a while that I've had a moment where I'm just like, I see the vision. I just don't know if it really is like all the hype leading up to it.
Right.
But this film and the one we skipped, like I said, is the first time I can tell Lynch shares a writing credit. Both movies having Barry Gifford co-write, or Gifford,
yeah.
I'll say, similar to our last movie, Blue Velvet, the story evolves in a drastic way about the 40-minute mark. But where Blue Velvet was satisfying as a ramp of things kind of slowly getting crazier and crazier the deeper we go, Lost Highway leads with its most surreal moments and then kind of has to hit the restart button on gradually building that up again. It's not something I care for format-wise, but having the middle section of this be the first time we experience some sort of normalcy, it honestly felt a bit boring and pushed so many, the countless questions I had to the back burner, and I felt like there was just something like a little bit of a waiting game, an unsatisfying waiting game of, wow, I want answers to this stuff. And we just kind of hit reset on the whole story. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to have to wait through this. And I think that's where my attention was just always this middle section. Boring's tough. It's not like bore you to tears because you're still, if anything, just waiting on edge of like what's going to happen. But there's something there that
feels like your time's being wasted a little bit.
Yeah, there's something with the format of the fact that it restarts. There's distinctly unsatisfying about it. I find it hard not to recommend this film in some way for just how much the story moves. Like, a lot happens. Like, a lot. And, I compare this to Love Hurts. It's just like, man, I will remember Lost Highway.
So true. What a point.
And I will not remember Love Hurts. But at the same time, I can't deny that I thought the middle portion of this was a significant downturn for my interest in the story, and God knows what a kind of a normal watching of this would garner, to the point that it felt like it was just waiting around for a good half of the movie, a solid another half chunk to get answers to the mystery or not get answers at all. And that really circles back to how I've been talking about these Lynch films. I'm not really looking for my review to provide the answers to this. I have a lot of what I think are decent theories of what this means. That's not what I want to get in the weeds over. I want to get into the, what is the actual experience here? And there was some unsatisfying elements to it. A really challenging movie, though, and one that you really need to pay attention for. You can't let a moment go by on this. Both for, like, how small details in the scene will be the only chance at connecting the dots. Sometimes that's even just the scene itself, whether that scene had, like, missing audio and now we're getting the audio to it, or it's a shot that is a shot from earlier now giving context in a different way. You also have to pay attention because, again, before you know it, there's something really, really crazy happening on screen. Frankly, like I said, I am torn over 3 potential scores that span a lot of points for the rating, but I think I'll split the difference and go somewhere in the middle on this one. We're going to go ahead and give A Lost Highway 1997 a 62.
Okay, I mean, that's not a terrible movie.
It's not.
62, I have to say, I mean, we're definitely confused. I think as listeners, like, I don't know what to think of this.
Well, that's the thing. I especially don't want to give any spoilers to this because, like, it's like that is the experience.
Right.
It's what else is going to come out? What's going to be on screen next?
Man, he is so much either what's going to be great at the end of this, or maybe if we watch more next year, when you walk away from Lynch getting a good taste of what he's about.
Yeah.
I almost want to know which film should I watch, meaning the anybody, if you can at least flip heads or tails if you like Lynch. Like, pick the most Lynchy kind of, or get his his median film.
Yeah.
And it's just oh well, if you don't like this one, don't watch any more. Don't watch any more.
That's the pass fail.
But if you like it, keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
I think really for me,
Specifically unique guy.
I would say Blue Velvet is really that. But
So far.
I'm with you as far as like also giving these movies some space because all of these I have really, I mean, they burned themselves in my mind. I mean, I'm scarred now. But there's something about it. It's just like I probably will never forget Lost Highway, and that's
intriguing.
exactly.
Intriguing.
There's something there.
That's a 62 is what it is. Lost
right
Highway
next to Too Fast, Too Furious.
from 1997, 62%.
Yep.
And
a tough score.
Well, let me tell you this. I don't know what your Valentine's Day plans are.
Oh yeah.
But Wild at Heart is playing in a theater not unbelievably far away from us. So we can go see a Valentine's Day if you want, in theaters.
In theaters.
We have to go to New Jersey for it. So, ugh. Stepped in some New Jersey.
Whoa!
You know what I mean?
Now we have state beef.
All right, folks. Before we get on to our the new film, the one that's in theaters, just going to remind people that Vin and I are going off the value for value model here at the Daily Ratings. So we're not going off the advertising model. We're going to have a bunch of advertising constantly on the podcast or the website. We're not going to be subscription based where you have to pay money to get access. And we're not going to have a tier structure of payment, like a Patreon where you have to give a certain amount of money to get extra content. Everything Vin and I do, it's out there. It's free. It's for everybody. But if you're enjoying it, if you're using it, if you're finding it valuable in your life, we look at that as value in your pocket. Can you send us value back in our pocket? Value for value. So go to thedailyratings.com and head to the donations tab. And through your monetary support, just show what kind of value you're getting. It could be any amount, big or small. You don't have to pay, or we don't force you to pick a number or something like that. There are some set donations if you just want to go that route, like buy Vin a movie ticket or the Gump Club or Godfather. There are some set donations, but there's the big value for value button there. And that is whatever amount, like I said, big or small. When you do donate in, we're going to give you the shout out and the big thanks here, but also write in a producer note. This note can have questions, comments, critiques, suggestions, anything that you want to say and ask us anything. Send a note in our way, and we're going to read it here. We'll address it here, whatever that is. You can email us your note at tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. That's our email address. So email your note there when you donate, and we'll give you the shout-out here. So remember, it's at dailyratings.com. Head to the donations tab. And while you're there, check out our new shop with hats, T-shirts, mugs, hoodies. We have the Daily Ratings merch up and running. So check us out there. And, of course, just have a blast on this site, kind of perusing around. It's at dailyratings.com. All right, Vin, with that, let's go to,
Yeah. How do you introduce this movie?
This is Ki Hai Kwan. I was somewhat excited for the film. I wasn't excited for the film. But the fact that Ki Hai Kwan, the guy who, as we know, keep on saying his name, but he was Shorty in
Short Round
in Temple of Doom. And then he went away for decades up until he showed up again in
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes, and he won the Best Supporting Actor for that as well, the
absolutely.
Oscar. So
Oscar winner.
It's like, hey, he's getting roles. That's cool, and he's actually in 2 movies this year. So, but this is just a strictly Valentine's Day movie. It is an action comedy thriller-ish, and we saw it together. Is it only an hour and 23 minutes?
Oh, it felt like a eternity.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
I just saw that now, and I'm like, oh my, holy shit, are you kidding me? I dozed off. I literally dozed off.
Yeah.
I said 10, maybe it was 5 minutes. I don't know.
I really wanted to sleep, but I couldn't. I was boiling over.
Yeah, just take it. We've got Short Round in a leading role, which is cool. Again, he's an all-around good guy. I love this guy.
He's in the Goonies too.
He is, sure. But I love this guy.
Yeah.
And, this isn't a very good movie.
No.
But you get in, we'll take it back and forth.
No. Well, out of the 2 movies I thought were going to be in the running for Valentine's Day, Heart Eyes and Love Hurts. I mean, talk about just a flub of the naming of that. Turns out the right answer was actually covering the kids' movie Dog Man.
Yeah.
That's the real mistake.
Correct.
Should have just done another animated special. You don't often get an action flick that is this much of a waste of time. Just to offset how bad this was, it actually had me considering covering, that new throwaway rom-com with Will Ferrell. I was looking at this week.
On Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it You're Cordially Invited or something like that?
Oh, right, with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah. I was looking
Amazon
this week,
with those shit comedies.
They love them.
They're keeping it going too.
Yeah, they are holding the sword. They're holding the flag for rom-coms. No one else is doing it. But I was just like looking at this week, and I was like, this is not a good Valentine's Day week. This is not. There's no recommendation here because you're definitely not watching Lost Highway. And you're probably not watching Stormy Weather, and I'm here to say don't watch Love Hurts. This comes from stuntman turned director Jonathan Eusebio. We debated.
We struggled for that one.
Yeah, we struggled for a minute before recording on how to pronounce that. He comes from the same team that worked on The Fall Guy from last year, and that studio just seems to be not only a funnel for stunt talent, but also stunt talent looking to have a pipeline to directing or creating projects.
Which I'm down with.
Oh, yeah.
I'm cool with. He was on John Wick. This guy did stunts on John Wick.
Yeah.
So it's like, he did stunts on 300.
Yeah. I've been a huge advocate for this kind of this pipeline, stunt actor to director. But, this looked impossibly bland and was impossibly bland, and hopefully will be forgotten for no other reason than just to not be a mark against this studio and not be a mark against future projects.
Yeah.
Because I like what this studio is doing. I think it's 82 North or something like that. All in that sphere of stunt coordinators and stunt talent moving up, which is great to see. Love Hurts is a Valentine's Day themed action flick that tries to balance a modern action setup with sprinkles of rom-com beats that honestly go nowhere. Ke Huy Quan plays Marvin Gable, a happy-go-lucky real estate agent that has skyrocketed to local fame due to his upbeat attitude. Along with his former partner Rose, played by Ariana DeBose, he turned away from a life of killing to build something special. But when the love letters start popping up for his former associates, Rose reveals the plan to bring him back into the underworld of crime. His brother Knuckles is a boba tea drinking leader of a gang, a joke that is absolutely beaten to death and is not even funny once.
No, it's not.
And as an avid lover of boba tea, I was really, really upset with it, actually. And predictably wants them both dead for debts not paid from the past. Folks, I really hated this movie. I hated this movie. Most of all because it just kind of chews up two Oscar winners for no reason. Like we said already, Ke Huy Quan has won an Oscar in 2022. I would say on the opposite end, though, Tom, I feel like he has sadly squandered the momentum most actors have coming off that fame, especially his being such a incredible respark. Maybe we'll see more to come.
It takes time. Where's Divine Joy Randolph? Where's our boy Dominic Seza?
All right, fair.
They don't come out with anything.
Tom Daly's got to give
Brendan. Brendan Fraser. It's hanging around.
Oh, he's definitely hanging around. I feel like there's just striking while the iron's hot with the coming off of
he's in another
season.
film that's coming up, a very, very expensive Netflix film in a couple months.
Oh yeah, he plays the
that.
voice for Electric State, some robot in Electric State.
Oh, he's just a voice.
Yeah, I think so. You're right though. It is a big film.
Yeah, maybe he is squandering. I don't know.
I would say it's squandered. The fact that this is also his first lead role on such a throwaway project, it's just like, I don't know. It's sad to see. That goes double for Ariana DeBose. She won her Oscar the year before. She won for the West Side Story remake as Best Supporting Actress.
Interesting.
A very weak year, to be honest. That was the Coda year. I mean, extremely weak year. Yeah. That's truly a year that the Tom Dalys only mattered. Because that was also the slap year.
I wasn't seeing her. I wasn't seeing any big acting chops with her. At least Ke Huy Quan, I could say, was acting.
Sure.
Whatever.
But yeah, she's had opportunities for bigger franchises, mainly from Disney, but not a single project has been above mediocre trash.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
yeah.
really, really, just like both of these, this is just, Love Hurts is the wrong move for both of them, very equally.
So would you say it's a step down for Sean Astin then? Because he's in this.
I almost broke my neck turning to you when I saw Sean Astin. I was like, wait, is it? Sam. That brings me to possibly my biggest issue with the whole movie, which is the romance itself, honestly. Folks, believe me, if the chemistry is there, I think any on-screen pair can work. But I'm sorry, putting these two as our steamy, dangerous lovers is completely fucking ridiculous. DeBose is 21 years younger than Quan, who is already pushing it for the role well into his mid-50s. And this is only made worse throughout the story by having her character be the spark of youthful fun and chaos to reintroduce his character back into this world, only further highlighted by the energetic divide between these two. Like, Quan, both his character and his acting, he's really trying to, like, make it to retirement age. And that just is not the exciting spark you need for a Valentine's Day action film. You know what I mean? I don't know. What are your thoughts about the age divide? I mean,
I thought about it.
It's just like,
listen, the whole movie's ridiculous that it's hard to get hung up on that.
Okay.
For me, but I did note it in my head.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I'm not sure about this one.
It's the moments that they really try to. I mean, we're not getting like a make-out scene or anything like that. I think they know not to. It'll be a little weird, but
there's not a single kiss in the movie, really.
There's the one, and where they get close at the end, and it's just like, I guess spoilers. But there's just something there that's just like, man, this this is not a good pair.
It's weak tea. Weak tea.
Yeah, believe me, I'm all for love of all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ,
the biggest love story wasn't even with them. It was with the
assistant and
the clearance rack, Emma Stone.
Yeah,
I mean, right?
For real, clearance rack.
Were you thinking that? Were you thinking that or no?
No, not Emma Stone.
There was a fraction of a second she was on screen. I'm just like, oh, yep.
And then that guy, I actually recognized him. He wasn't great, so it wasn't like a big thing, but he played Jet in the Cowboy Bebop live action.
Oh, the Boba Tea guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. The Black Assassin.
Oh, that's Marshawn Lynch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know him from something.
A Super Bowl champion from the Seattle Seahawks.
Let it be reiterated that I am not a sports fan. So he went into acting then. Interesting.
Yes, yeah, sure seems like it.
Well, sure. One might think. Oh, man. But yeah, just real bad across the board. And for me, I don't know. The prospect of any romance in this movie was just like so ridiculous to me. It really was a huge sticking point. Because I feel like if the action wasn't there, it was like there was truly nothing to like this film over.
I knew I probably wasn't going to like any of the action. So then the next thing is just like, well, can I say the fight choreography was respectable?
Right.
And the answer is maybe?
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't know the answer to that still. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good transition. Action-wise, I would say, well, action-wise, don't make me say it, folks. It's yet another John Wick clone where nobody is actually somebody, and that somebody belongs to a world of danger. So it's really not out of that just yet. But I'll admit, I wasn't too big of a fan of last year's action movies, but I'll honestly take a Boy Kills World or Monkey Man any day over this garbage. I feel like those, action-wise, we're trying to do very, very creative things. If you look at the scores for that, I think, I don't know, Boy Kills World was like in the 50s. I think Monkey Man was in the 60s. I don't really love those movies, but there was something interesting going on.
It's foreshadowing.
Yeah. I think a slight positive here is Quan attempting kind of a split of action and comedy. I myself am split on this because, frankly, that is equally as crowded in the legacy of action films, especially with Jackie Chan. What I will say as a little bit of praise is I think those comedy moments are the ones that work best over when it's just trying to be outright badass. An early fight in kind of like a home kitchen uses a lot of fun camera work in the fight choreography and, giving us shots inside appliances like it's a Food Network show or something like that. So that was like kind of all right. But on the other hand, a lot of the moments are trying to be super rated R and super badass, like I said, and betray the vibe of the action that is set up. Every quick neck snap or missed gunshot just weakens what could have been another chance to build comedy into the fight choreography. Instead, it's just like, okay, they're just not shooting through the couch. Or they're just like emptying a clip around them. Like just really, really bad. Really, really not great. That's where I think there's a sliver of praise for this is just in that where the action can kind of be comedy action, which honestly could probably be a whole special, from Jackie Chan to a lot of wire fu Hong Kong stuff. There's a lot there that we could unpack that we haven't really touched on at all during the podcast.
All better than this film. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, this was flat.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Those Jackie Chan ones, they might have good fighting, but they're still probably pretty bad. They're still probably pretty awful.
What, the Owen Wilson one, the Western one? With the Shanghai Nights or Shanghai Noon, right?
Yeah. I'm talking more like Jackie's like actual Chinese films. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Shanghai Night, Shanghai Noon. That's it right there. I mean, really, the one to go to is Rush Hour. I mean, that's...
Oh, excuse me. Well, yes. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got to do a whole Rush Hour.
Well, those are actually sacred.
Those are My overwhelming feelings on this are that it belongs on streaming just for how cheap it feels.
Oh, yes, it does. Yep.
And we'll probably get there in no time for how forgettable it felt after watching this. The multiple narrating characters and like countless ADR lines really reminded me of Cocaine Bear, which was kind of similar February slop. There was just something to like, anytime a mouth is not on screen, that's an overdubbed line, and you can tell that they're just kind of plugging and playing where they need that to be. At this point, though, all I can hope for, and I really mean this, all I can hope for is that these interesting stunt directors get paired with good writers as well, so that their skills can shine and not be dragged down by everything else. We're going to go ahead and give Love Hurts a 33.
33? That's almost... It's almost fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I mean, in a positive way. I mean, I think you're doing a favor there almost.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'm not even going to give it. I think that's a great point at the end there. And that's so true. Better writing. Pair these guys with good writings.
Absolutely.
Because you know this stunt guy's got chops.
Yeah.
You look at his career that he's had so far. He's not like an old guy.
Right.
And I mean, I feel like he would be fantastic in a director's seat, or just fine. But you're so right with the writing.
Yeah.
So right. Or be John Wick and don't have writing.
Sure. There
and
needs
it's
to
literally
be
just
right. Exactly. Less boundaries to just giving good action.
Right.
Less things to drag it down. And I mean, I don't know, to that point of like, again, he's a young dude. Like, there is something there that there is energy in these fight scenes. I like some of the weapons were kind of like, I don't know, they were kind of fun and campy. He had like a shoe blade, I don't know. But yeah, I just need other things not being absolute garbage for me to appreciate the action a little bit more.
I'm not going to give it 2 shoes.
I don't think it deserves it.
Well, it deserves a flop, but I'm not even going to. I don't even want to deal with the. No. I don't want
to even deal with the.
I don't want my flip flop on this poster.
See, I like that. If something really deserves, if you feel strongly about it, yes,
it gets nothing, so that no one even knows when they're on the site.
Revenge. Your vengeance.
Well, don't worry. Horizon Part 2 apparently is still coming out. Or Chapter 2.
Wasn't there news just this week about that? Something that he found a place to producers or something?
I felt like I would have seen that.
Yeah, okay.
Especially I'm in it now.
Sure.
With the news show.
Yeah.
Going through every single article, basically, I could find.
Sweeping through.
The thing is with that, there's news every week about that, and it's kind of more of the same.
Oh, okay.
It's going to happen, probably. We don't know yet. No dates, though. And then it's always just like, well, is 3 going to get finished? Can he do 4? It might be a masterpiece if he's able to do 4 at some point. And the one thing is, it got really good life on Max/Netflix. It's on now, correct?
I think so.
Okay, because it was on Max for a bit.
Would make sense, yeah.
But I think it's on Netflix now, and it's getting like a lot. It's getting a huge second life. Huge, and it's actually being watched now.
Wow.
So I don't even know what the deal is. Maybe Netflix will just do it, and they'll do the slight theater release. I don't know. Maybe maybe enough people are going to watch it, and they're actually hoping for an actual proper release if New Line picks it up.
I think it's, we use straight to streaming as an insult quite a lot on the show, but like there is something to it of just like it is a 4-part movie. Maybe that is more bingeable, or maybe you can break that up, with streaming. I think that might be the right call.
I think he would rather pull everything.
Really?
He wants these to be successful major movies. He wants
he wants the old
He wants an epic
fame.
film.
Yeah.
But he did just spend, he's got a $100 million project in Utah trying to make a studio out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
so he's got money somehow.
People trying to make studios everywhere.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
He's got people in Florida starting to make rumblings.
Yep, New Jersey.
Ugh. Who's doing Jersey?
You're really beefing with Jersey. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. He's catching strays. Who's doing Jersey?
I think
De Niro did New York.
De Niro's New York, or one of the boroughs.
His
It's not
studios,
Manhattan.
it might be Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But it might be technically Manhattan. I forget. But his studios look good.
Yep.
Maybe he's a Netflix in New Jersey.
Maybe. I
Netflix,
definitely heard
I know,
Jersey.
just made stuff.
Georgia's been around forever.
But I hear Florida.
Oh, and Texas. Didn't we talk about Texas?
Yeah, I'll bring that up in a second. The thing with Jersey and New York is I don't know if the taxes work there. It works because celebrity is there, and most people, if they live in LA, most of them have a secondary home anyway.
Sure.
So that could be a pull. But otherwise, just the congestion of the city. And then Florida guys, you have the Utah setup. I know you have Mark Wahlberg, and it might be Mel Gibson and Mark Wahlberg doing their studio in Vegas.
Oh, in Vegas.
And then you have the Texas push now.
Yes.
Well, one, you have Taylor Sheridan down there, which helps.
Sure.
With what Sheridan's got going on. But that video that came out with Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey, guy's son that we've been watching in films, Companion, his dad.
Oh, Jack Quaid.
Yep, Jack. Yes, his dad.
Dennis Quaid.
Billy Bob Thornton. I forget who the actress was, but now they're trying to do a big push in Texas, which I think makes sense. But I really like it. I like it's screw Budapest, screw London, Toronto.
The real beef. We have beef with Canada. I mean, Vancouver, Toronto. I mean, these are like massive filming cities.
Yes,
like
and then London and Budapest.
Yeah,
those are the biggest ones. And I say screw them, keep them in the States. And I like the idea is they're such different areas where I think it can really benefit. Warehouses are warehouses because that's all studios are. But it's like, okay, what about our exterior scenes?
Sure.
Well, then maybe you want the city vibe, maybe you want the Florida vibe.
Yeah.
You want the desert Utah or Texas. That's cool.
I'm definitely with you, especially also Taylor Sheridan just being a creative force, not just actors for hire. You know what I mean? He has vision being fueled by, Texas type of stories,
Yes. And then it could also just be a thing of, okay, we really want this main actor, and they live in California, and they don't want to fly. They don't want to do the commute with Florida, that many hours. So keep them close to LA. So now we're going to do the Vegas place, or we're going to do the Utah place. Like that could just be the deciding factor.
Yep.
But I like having choices because I don't know. We got a good, diverse country for that, where we don't need to go other places. I'm saying like landmark wise, like get people, get people out of the freaking studio,
you're right? Absolutely.
And let's actually touch real grass would be cool.
Hey, Hollywood execs,
Anyways,
touch grass.
I know. Talking to the birds here. Talking to the birds.
Well, listen, I'm with you as far as just like diversify it. You're going to get more voices and more opportunities. I mean, we're talking about like the high level. By industries planting themselves in these cities, in these different states, there's going to be more opportunities for people passionate about film.
Yeah,
up and comers. You want to work on a set. Well, guess what? You got to be a best boy somewhere. You got to be a key grip. So.
I'm starting to have a theory down. Not a theory. I'm starting to be in the thinking that. Too many movies are being made.
Whoa.
I think there might be a surplus of films.
Yeah.
And we need to actually trim some fat.
Interesting.
Cut out the bad and have a little bit better
that,
one.
even though that might hurt our bottom line, but, or at least our
Don't worry about it. 315 Oscar films that were in contention.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Yeah, we're okay.
Okay, so we got off on a track there. But anyway, anything else for this week?
No.
We have a huge week coming up. We've been doing these 3-baggers kind of folks, these 3 film weeks, because we've got the We got a big one next week.
Yeah. So next week is a good old normal 5 spot. We're doing the 3 Paddingtons, including the new one Paddington in Peru.
Going to Peru. Get your passport ready.
We have the new Captain America, what I've been calling Marvel's Manchurian Candidate. It basically looks like.
I like it.
Like I said in the past, producer Matt D pretty much shows that you can produce in any way possible, and he really does produce in every way possible. I have an old Captain America like TV movie, basically.
What's the year on it?
I don't know.
Okay, come back with research then.
Yes. I'm gonna plug it in, and it's like when we covered Batman the movie from the '60s.
Yeah, it's
like
a good deal. I like it though. I like it.
It's just gonna be hammy, probably not good. I'm hoping for so bad it's good from it. So
okay, Spig. Okay, well, Vin, thank you so much for watching these films, stopping by here this evening. And folks at home, we'll just run it down one more time. We've got Stormy Weather with a 76%, Lost Highway with a 62%, and finally, Love Hurts, and it does hurt, with a 33%. So, folks, as always, thank you so much for stopping by here and having a good time with us this week. And as always, we'll see you right here next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. And just a reminder that the Daily Ratings is completely producer supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast.